always be positive.
All right, first question. Who filled out the spreadsheet?
What spreadsheet, Colin?
Remind us again.
Steve did. I didn't get it.
That really, really, really cool spreadsheet that we spent an hour on last time. Yeah. Fill that out.
So net worth tracking?
All right.
I've started. I haven't finished it.
Shame on you.
Who started? Who looked at it? Who spent any time at all
I did look at it, I didn't know.
on it? Okay, so we had some looks at it. Okay. So for those that looked at it, started, finished, some of you, what were your takeaways as you looked at that and thought about it a little bit? What did you walk away with?
Just like everything else, you need to keep it in front of you on a regular basis, so you gotta schedule it in and, I don't know, get it done and don't let it keep getting pushed to the back burner.
Yep.
Trying to do all this tax stuff right now.
Yeah, one time of the year.
Yeah, I know, I gotta get my CRPs out.
Yeah. Who else?
I need to pay down credit card debt. I need to refinance my house. My interest rate's too high.
Hurry up, do it.
And I told you, I figured out a way to kind of put a value on our profit share.
Sure.
And that was an eye opener. I just, that's by far the biggest asset I've got.
Sure. So before we take some more comments, let's just talk about that a little bit more. So you identified some things to work on and improve. Do you think, Steve, that you would have really thought about improving those two without having it on paper and looking at it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've been,
This is Steve you're talking about.
what?
This is Steve. He would have analyzed it no matter what.
Yeah, I just said under my breath, I would.
So I guess the point I'm getting at is when it's on paper and you're looking at it, and you're looking at it regularly, obviously you're gonna focus on it more, right? And what's your probability of accomplishing it if you're actually focusing on it and looking at it and taking the next step and putting a plan together?
Oh, yeah.
around it?
The odds go up all the time. I mean, I'm probably in there once or twice a week, just changing simple numbers like, okay, I just made a $1,500 payment on my credit card, so I'm gonna change that number, what I owe.
Or what if I were to refinance the house? What does that free up in monthly payments?
Yeah,
And what does that do to the rest of it?
yep.
Excellent, awesome. Who else? Charlie,
Everything adds up, no matter how trivial.
on both sides of the ledger.
Yes.
Right? Yep, it does really fast, and it's adding up faster. I don't shop, like grocery shop or anything. At all, like ever.
Neither do I.
I walked in and I can't remember what, it was something like super trivial that I was going to buy. And I looked at the price tag
Yeah,
and I just about fell over.
I make my husband go with once in a while, so I'm like, you wanna complain about it, then you come and, like, I'm
It's
not buying anything that's, yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It is absolutely, I've never seen, I mean, I'm not that old, but I've never seen anything like this. This is unbelievable. Who knows what oil's trading at right now? I just looked at it about half.
Pretty close to 85.
Yep, yep, you're right, Steve, it is, where'd it go? 86.45 right now.
Well, you know,
What was it a year ago for you?
22 months ago, they were paying you about 25 bucks a barrel to buy oil.
you know, they said, okay, gasoline's gonna go up and natural gas is gonna go up. Well, heck, I already knew gasoline was gonna go up because I was paying twice, or at least $1 a gallon more than, but what blew me away was when I got my heating bill
Yeah.
about 10 days ago, and my bill was more than $100 than what I'd ever paid, the highest amount I'd ever paid
Yep.
for natural gas, and I thought, oh my God. I went over to the thermostat and hit. I hit
Yeah.
down.
Put on more layers.
Yeah, put on it,
Well, and it's like the
who's that Carter put
domino
on a
effect of
sweater?
that. Yeah. Domino effect of that with the, like the.
And if Carmen walks close to that thermostat, don't you touch that thermostat.
I was gonna say, cause I know like the different things too, like whenever gas goes up, we see price increases in building materials. Cause like shingles are made out of the gunk on the bottom of the barrels, I mean, there's so many different elements and we're, yeah, I'm almost afraid to see what the spring's gonna bring for material prices. Oh,
Well, I mean, everything that's delivered to us, how does it get delivered to
Yeah.
us?
Yeah.
Doesn't fly on a magic carpet, right? Scotty,
To me, in doing the well tracker, the biggest thing, and I've been doing it for a while, the biggest thing is I realize as agents, how easy it is to grow your wealth if you buy the product you're selling to your clients.
Yep.
I mean, buying one rental property and just watching the appreciation go up, all of a sudden your net worth number, you're like, ooh. So we are in an excellent position to grow wealth faster than most people. And yeah, maybe you're into Bitcoin, maybe you're in the stock market. Those things are so volatile. That's not where all my eggs are.
there, in my humble opinion,
Stuff's about to
it's a
happen.
lottery.
Yeah.
You might win or you might not. And you might win big, you might hit the jackpot. If you've got some disposable income that you're willing to throw at that stuff, have at it, right? Because, I don't know, it can be fun, you can learn a little bit, maybe broaden your horizons a little bit. But boy, that's not my plan, right?
It's just not as predictable as if, we're in the industry, we have access to all the data to see what housing has done for the last 70, 80 years.
Even if it goes down,
I
it's, you know.
cannot- Yeah, I can't agree more. Whenever I look at our spreadsheet, I look at it and I think, okay, what can I do? What's the key to making the number grow, right? How do I do that? And really, in my mind, there's two options. You build another business, and they're not mutually exclusive, or I can buy more real estate. Because I look at what impacts my number the most and the fastest without me doing anything, and it's the real estate. Especially in the last few years. It's the real estate. And I hate to say this, but this is totally reality, in my opinion. If you own $1 million in investment property, and we see 10% inflation in the economy, right? Price inflation. You own $1 million worth of real estate, your real estate is now worth 1.1, and it costs you, pick a number, 100 grand, 150 grand a year to live, right? Your existence is 150 grand a year. So your 150 is now 165 to live the same way you did last year. You gained 100 over here and it cost you 15 over here. If you have assets that inflate, do you really care that much about price inflation?
Yes, that's me.
I don't.
I know what you mean. I know
Because
what you mean.
I'll take the 100 if it costs me 15.
Yeah.
All day, every day, I'll do that trade over and over and over and over and over again.
And it's the only place you can do it.
So, you're right. So what's gonna happen? I think we're gonna just keep seeing a divergence between those that have and those that don't. That, it is, I've been thinking this for probably 10 years, and it is accelerating. Every year that I've been thinking about that concept, in my opinion, it is accelerated. So if we're losing a bunch of the middle, what are those people going to do? The people that are coming into the market and they look at an entry-level house and they think, there's no way, there's no way, I can't do it. What are they gonna do? They're gonna have renting. I think we are totally moving into a scenario where, and it's been happening on the coasts for a long time, you have people that rent from the day they move out until the day they die. And there's gonna be a lot of them. There's gonna be a lot. I think that's just flat out the reality.
All the apartments are building, you're telling me that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah, well, people, big money's not dumping it into apartment buildings because they think it's a fun game to play.
Well, statistically, you can't you can't earn your wealth per se. Let's say you make 50,000 more this year. I guarantee you changed your living a little bit where you probably, after taxes, you got 30, you probably spent 20 more. So what have you really accomplished in growing your net wealth? Making more is good, don't get me wrong. You can probably spend more too.
Probably.
And you pay more taxes.
Probably. What's, Olivia, what's, Steve Chater? Does everybody know who Steve Chater is? From, he's in Mesa. He wrote Old, yep.
Co-author, Old.
Yep.
Very.
Super, awesome guy. If you're a family reunion or something and he's speaking, he's worth a listen. He's awesome. He's a good dude. I think the day I started in real estate, he had a thing going on in Minneapolis.
Yep.
And I went to it. And I remember him saying that except for the very, very few exceptions, you cannot save your way to wealth and eventual retirement. You cannot save your way. And he said that in his opinion, the single best way to get there was real estate. And like you said, Scotty, what do we do every single day? I was talking to Chad during the meeting, and he said, you know what? I sat in that frickin' room. Gary said during family reunion in 2018, don't worry about listing it. Look at it, should I buy it? And he said to me, he said, what was I doing? I had so many opportunities to buy just great deals and I didn't do it. Because my mind was, well, I'm gonna sell it and I'm gonna make a commission on it. And that's important, right? We gotta keep the wheel turning, I understand that. But I think it's also important to look at those opportunities, and we've talked about that.
I'll just keep the volume up a little bit. Some of them are having a hard time hearing you online, so just try to talk louder. Just talk.
Well, tell me to be quiet.
Yeah, normally I do, yes.
What else? What else? Any other thoughts?
I have one that, I'm older than a lot of you, so but one of mine was getting my financial house in order with finish my trust that I started years ago and that kind of thing, because not only have I had a number of people I know pass away this year that didn't have their house in order, especially when you buy properties and the more stuff you have, the more problems that you have. And I also, on the other side of selling family stuff that's been in a trust and that kind of thing. So I'm learning the exit strategy of these rental properties is not always a pretty picture either if you haven't planned it out. So a lot of planning both ends.
Yep, takes time and it costs money.
I was on the profit share task force, and just like last week, and what they were saying was we need to shift from calling a profit share and talk about it being wealth building. Because so many agents hear that and they're like, and I said, agents have a natural propensity to have anxiety over that because they don't know what to say. And the thing is, they don't have to say anything, right? They have to send them to John or to me, and that's it. or to, John or me in another market center, right? But switching the conversation to call it wealth building then really opens it up, and, you're planning for for your family, right? Because it's willable 2 generations. And Steve, like we talked about on the case for meeting that we had, right? Like that you haven't built your first line in so long, and, you made 50 grand last year. And imagine if you had been consistently building that, what it would look like right now, right?
Yeah. I went probably 6 or 7 years without sponsoring anybody on my front line. And then this last year, I got involved and I put 3 on my front line, 3 different offices, 1 here and 1 Coon Rapids and 1. And 2 of the 3 closed something, and just 1, they didn't cap or anything, but still, at like $1,000 for a closing and profit share. Pretty cool. Well, and that's just, that can be just the beginning.
Sure. And talk about passive.
Mhm.
That's the definition of one and done, right? Now, you can, of course, nurture it and it's going to be more beneficial, but.
Well, you can teach your daughter how to, how to sell real estate.
Better start putting people in my tree with how many people I've added to your profit share. Just saying.
I'm just hearing.
At least you heard it. I'll implement it.
I'm trying to remember, I don't know if it was
Abram.
Yes, he's awesome. Like, I just love listening to him, but I remember being at some class that he did, and he had mentioned, and of course I didn't do it last year, but I have it down on to do this year, was he said, like, take even just like, 10% out of every one of your commission checks, just take 10% out, put it in a separate account, and then literally like you're buying a property, every year. Like, it's just easier to like take it off the top and not deal with, like it's designated to go here for this purpose. But I was like, it just seems so much simpler to be like, it's easy to take a couple thousand every time versus being like, oh, I'm gonna spend 50, you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be.
Yep.
So I thought that was a really like easy, gradual way to do it, just because for some reason I had this mentality that like we always have to have X amount in the savings, which isn't bad, but it's probably more than we really need. But it makes me nervous to think like it gets less than that amount, where if I just am shedding little by little, and then it motivates me more too to like, one more sale, and that'll be, towards this goal. So I just thought that was kind of a cool.
When you take that money out then, and not that I've done this, I'm not speaking from experience, but it's just less painful.
Yes,
That's what it's
exactly.
meant for. It's not, oh, here's this.
Yeah, it's not 50 grand, it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, what's that? I mean,
Yeah.
we'll spend that in a week, you know what I mean? I mean, in reality, but if you're telling him where to go and just kind of doing it little by little, I just thought that was an awesome idea.
When we talked about this, you're trading one asset for another. Like every time I put a down payment on like an investment property, whether it's 30, 40, whatever it is, I'm like, ouch. And then I stop and I'm like, nothing changed in my bottom line. I probably got a good deal. I waived commissions, so I probably actually increased just in buying the property. So switching your mindset of it's not expendable cash, or it's not cash you're just getting rid of.
Yep.
You're just trading one asset for the other.
Yep, exactly. So.
You're probably earning more than your Wells Fargo saving account at 0.001%.
Good chance.
$8 a year at that
To-
spreadsheet.
The
You can have that.
cool part, the
1,000
cool
times
part
more.
is to your point, Scotty, not only are you trading one asset for the other, but you're trading it and you're leveraging your dollar 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. It's just getting in the right mindset. I think if you've always, you hadn't previously invested, or, you kind of have that crazy mindset where I always have to have so much, just getting past that and realizing it's gonna work better for me in a different form.
Yep, and I think a little bit more on that, Amanda, that gets back to one of the very first things we talked about is how are you going to fund this to get it going? What's your plan? And if you do set the plan in place, you're already halfway there.
And my goodness, we're in a seller's market. Worst case, if you had to sell it, you got 20% equity in it.
Mhm.
Like if you needed the cash and it's not like sitting in your savings account, you had to even sell property.
2005, I had a number of properties that went down 100 grand in value, but you know what? They had tenants in there, they paid the payment, and it came back and then some. So you don't have to worry about that values going up and down, and if I would have had to sell, I still would have been, well, I might have been a little upside down on that one, but.
But not the end of the world, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, barring drastic outside forces, how long can you hold a property that cash flows $500 a month? Can hold that one forever. Why would I get rid of it? I've got a money printing machine over here.
You don't want to.
I don't want to get rid of it. A couple of podcasts I listened to, one guy made a comment and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. He said the real asset is the mortgage. It's the mortgage that's the true asset. Because you just locked in something for 30 years. It's not that, I mean, if I didn't have to deal with the houses and I could just have all the mortgages and get $500 a month or $600 a month or $1,000 a month, whatever it might be, by having the mortgages, oh my God, it'd be fantastic. I wouldn't have to maintain anything. I wouldn't have to deal with calls like these guys that keeps texting me right now. So that was kind of an eye opener, especially with no, it's not Olivia. That just really made me stop and think about this whole thing, especially right now. I mean, and okay, interest rates have gone up. Yeah, big deal. Big deal.
You get to deduct them
Oh,
on
so
them.
you got to lock in at 4.5% for 30 years? Oh, what a travesty.
My parents bought the first house I ever lived in at 18% during record times. I'm like, it's not too shabby, right?
I had a rental property till this year that I was paying 7% and it still cash flowed, so,
What does it
you know,
matter?
you wrote it off, but it was owner financing and it was gonna come due in another year, but I just took advantage of a refinancing program this year that didn't cost me anything and lowered the interest rate and everything, so,
Yep.
yeah.
And I guess the way I look at it is interest
Lots
rates
of cash flows.
they may go up. So if I don't buy now, they might go up and I've got a worse deal from a long-term hold standpoint. If they go down, I can always refinance if it makes sense, so.
But your hedging goes up.
All right, so
John has a question.
Tasha has a question. Who do you suggest for the
Think about the CEOs, think about that goes.
podcasts, so real estate related. Real Estate Strategies podcast, that's Ken McElroy. He's partners with Robert Kiyosaki. That guy is like big league. They've got billions of dollars worth of real estate. It's just stupid what they've done. Creating Wealth, and that is Jason Hartman. He's really good. Let's see here. This is a little bit broader. The Rebel Capitalist Show. And that's, his name is George Gammon.
Colin, can you repeat the name of that? The Rebel Capitalist?
Rebel Capitalist Show, and that's George Gammon. I like the Rich Dad Radio Show. There's some good ones in there every once in a while. Not every once in a while, very regularly. I like Cardone. He's pretty in your face. Grant Cardone, the Cardone Zone. He's pretty in your face. But I don't know. I drive a car. He rides around in a private jet. a good one. I do like listening to Brian Buffini. I think he's got a really good insight, a lot of mindset stuff in our business. And he also has really good, I like his prediction podcast because the guy's super well connected. And plus he's got a cool Irish accent. There's a few more. I mean, some of them are a little bit broader. Some of them are like a little bit more macro. Let's see. Yeah, I'd say start with those. Those are pretty good. You'll find good nuggets in those.
Can I piggyback on what Amanda said about savings? No, okay.
I'm kidding.
I know. So I say this all the time. Profit First is the best book ever. We started, I think it was last year we did this, and Olivia got, everybody a copy of it. It's that good. So if you haven't read it, then you should read it. The thing is that money then is set aside, like you said, the 10%, so that I look at that every single month or whatever, and then see what am I gonna do with that, right? Like that bought our horse, and it's not painful because I know it's there, and I just have to be careful to not let my Olivia see that it's there, because then it's not there, right? Suddenly we're buying something else. We need a trailer for the horse, right? But the thing is it's like, if it's in your checking account, you'll probably find a way that it's not.
Yes, or it just feels comfortable being there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you come up with what you want your Profit First distributions to be, that's just, your owner pay, your expenses, your taxes, and your profit, right? You come up with what that is for you and what works, and kind of go through it. And then like every time I get a check, I just transfer that much to those accounts. And like downstairs, they're like, oh yeah, you with all your accounts, right? So then I'm like, I'll send more people down, but you just need to open those accounts and have them in there. The book is super, like strict, and they have you open the tax and the profit in a different bank. Like, I don't need to do that. Like, I have enough self-control, I'm not gonna spend the money, right? But some people need that.
So you can't transfer it back and forth?
Right.
Pretty smart.
Yeah.
So-
I didn't do that
Husband
because of
probably
that, but I have it.
It's too easy when you can transfer, though,
Yep.
like, I'm on it, like, yeah, I'm guilty. What did you say the book was?
Profit First. Okay.
Okay, so
Profit
Please read
First
it.
by who? Who's the author?
Mike McAllowitz.
Mike McAllowitz. I have no idea how to spell that.
Just Google profit.
So, okay, can we all agree that we are past the point of talking about how we're going to fund or figure out how to fund our investment properties? For those that have, I think everybody's kind of said, yeah, that's what I want to do. Or can we just set that aside? Because I think we beat that horse to death. Except we're gonna beat it just a little bit more.
Cassandra has a comment there too, question.
The one-on-one, right in this room. I mean, I think this has pretty much been a one-on-one, step-by-step, how to do it, right?
Yes.
So we'll talk kind of what everybody's goals are as we go through 2022, and can be one of them. But I think we've broken it down to the point of like rehab costs. So does everybody agree that?
And we'll have new people
Yeah,
join, so we might have to go
yeah,
over it again.
But I mean,
Yeah.
am I on the right page thinking that what we're doing here would accommodate that?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm thinking the same thing you guys are. Okay, so we know we've got to figure out a plan, whether it's a rich uncle, you won the lottery, you set aside some money from every commission, whatever
Or
it
an
is.
equity loan.
Or
if you
whatever.
have- if you have
Yeah,
equity in
I
the
think
loan.
we're there, right? What's stopping us from doing it? You've got the money sitting there, what's stopping us from doing it?
Inventory, how to find them.
Okay. All right, what else?
Have you guys actually talked about, like, commercial lending versus? I'm a little bit more curious on that. I have not heard any of those, and,
Yep, we,
don't have to worry.
I think a couple
You
of
don't have to worry.
sessions, we
Yeah,
talked
yeah.
about different sources of financing and whatnot. Yep,
versus kind of like a credit union or?
Yep. So, but I wanna, so, I mean, we can revisit a lot of this. Yeah, we can revisit a lot of that stuff. But the question I really want to ask is inventory. That's one thing that is holding us back. What else?
Fear
Okay, what's the fear?
that I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay. So don't know what you're doing in what regard, because you're in the business.
Yeah.
So you know how to analyze what a property is.
Well, I
worth.
guess it would be, for me personally, it would be like relaying the information to my spouse to be like, let's do this, right? And getting him on board.
Okay.
Really
That's one of the reasons I had Jason quit his job and come here, so he can hear all this and know, so, yeah,
Okay.
but I totally know what you mean, cause I'm
Yeah,
like,
valid.
okay, I'm excited about this, how do I go home and
Right. And
relay
not,
it to him?
and not look like a total freak, right? Like, oh my gosh, we're gonna do this. And he's like, we're not.
So that's what I did to my husband.
Wade was 100% opposed to any purchasing of properties until we bought the house last year, and now we'll buy another one this year. And
It's
he's
always
on
that
board.
way.
Yeah,
I've always.
he was like, that was actually
First one's the
really
hardest.
awesome. Yeah. So
Right.
it's
Same with
getting
every
the
investor.
home over the
So
line.
then you become a landlord, or then you become, you know, and it's like making sure all those contacts or that whole, or your Airbnb, I mean, there's a
Well-
lot that comes along with
Yep.
that.
Right, and the
Okay.
whole step of managing,
Yeah.
you know, if you only got one, you're gonna manage it, so you gotta learn that whole process.
Yes.
So what I heard from you, Jessica, was understanding enough to have your spouse feel comfortable in buying, which is important, right? Obviously. Okay, all right. Jolly.
So we just recently bought our first investment a couple months ago.
Yep.
And my wife, love her to death,
Say it one more
extremely,
time.
There's an
No, I'm
asterisk.
kidding.
was
But-
extremely against it.
Yep.
And what was the watershed moment was just sitting down with Jay and Brooke over dinner and just talking about it. Surround yourself with people who are doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
You will learn a lot.
It's like you'll be taking me to dinner.
So
I was like, well, so now I'm gonna book up everyone's calendars for dinner. Totally fine.
What was
Yeah.
her fear?
Coming up.
What was her fear, Jason? Like what,
That's what I did.
what,
I could make a list. I
It's
mean,
the unknown.
what
It's
if we
something
get bad
interesting.
tenants? What if they burn the house down? I don't
Yeah.
want to get a call 3 a.m.
Okay.
And the long and short of it is just be very picky on who you want in there,
yep. Who
who you rent to
oh,
be very selective.
Yeah, as long as you don't discriminate.
right, that's correct.
We've talked about,
So,
yeah, we talked about that.
yeah, so that's, I mean, I get it, right? What's gonna happen when something happens? Like what, oh my gosh, or what if
It's
the
a mess.
tenant, what if this, what if that? I don't know, what if
My parents
what if the
call
stock
me in the
market
morning when their
crashes?
smoke detectors are going off.
What was that, Amanda?
So my parents call at 3 in the morning when their smoke detectors going off and my husband has to go over there, so what's the difference? Like, I didn't wake up, I'm going back to sleep.
Yeah.
Well, I had this great conversation with someone hypothetically sitting next to me, using Olivia's coach Jordan Creed. Like one of the things he talked about for those who were in his session is fear asks questions.
Mhm.
Write them down. What if we get bad renters and they don't pay the rent? Well, we will offset that by always having at least 2 months' rent sitting in account. What if the toilet goes out? Well, we will call a handyman to go out. You just have to kind of write those questions down, and then the fear doesn't have as much power. In the beginning, you don't know what questions to ask, so it is good to talk to somebody who has rental properties.
Yep.
Tell me your worst case scenario, but then also to hear, like, when you said you sat down with Brooke and Jason, just to hear, look where we're at. It then becomes more possible and even probable when you hear people do it well, and had some hiccups along the way, but they push through and now look at them. So it is a big deal about surrounding yourself with people who are doing what you want to be doing, whether it's fitness, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's investing. So is anybody eating really well? Or exercising, 10 minutes a day and losing 80 pounds a month? Hypothetically.
I think I heard it at church one weekend. It was a sermon, and I think it was as simple as when you ask the question, what if, also ask or make the statement or ask the question, even if. So what if this happens? Well, even if that were to happen, I've got all these paths I can. I thought that was a really simple, like that was, obviously it stuck with me. But I thought that was a pretty valuable statement. What else real quick, and then I'm gonna have Olivia come up just for a couple of minutes because I've gotta run to a closing just for 5 minutes here, guys. What else? Fear of tenants, not knowing what's going on, fear of not understanding enough to explain it to a significant other.
Mine is just fear of doing it alone, because I don't have a spouse or anything, so it would be just me.
Sure.
So that freaks me out, because it's like, everything is on me.
Carrying the entire burden.
Yep, and no one
Sure.
else.
Yep.
Well, I would say to that, and yes, you're on your own at 3 a.m., I'm sure, but I mean, there's a ton of help here. So you're not alone that way, but I mean, I totally get what you're saying.
And what if you did it and you were a kick-ass lady boss?
I was gonna say,
Right.
here's the other way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, I'm carrying that whole burden, but guess what? You get to carry all the rewards too.
Yeah.
You don't have to split those up. Those are yours.
And
So
it's smart,
maybe-
start small, whether it's a condo or a
Right.
townhome.
I think it's just getting like through the first one.
Yep,
Yeah.
always
Like,
is.
everybody's different. You're like, that wasn't so bad, I wish I would have done that.
Well, in
10 years
townhomes,
ago,
yeah.
you don't have to worry about the roof, the siding,
Right.
so much of that is taken care of. If you
Yeah.
wanted to, you could get a home warranty to help cover the appliances, or
Right.
the center point energy plan, whatever.
So
Those are
not,
good points.
I'm just looking at what we've got on the chat, not knowing how to set up a rental agreement and contract. I'm guessing there are people in this room that can help with that. And then COVID, it goes back to a scenario where renters don't have to pay rent.
That is a good.
I didn't have a single tenant that didn't pay rent, not a single
How many
one.
properties do you guys have?
Oh, that was, well, jointly, that, I'm guessing 25 to 30, somewhere in there. Can that happen? Sure, absolutely. Nobody saw it coming the first time. Did something happen again? Absolutely. I don't know, my personal opinion is everybody's kind of past this and you can only float that for so long. Sooner or later,
Yeah, I mean, it's not a
the
thing.
lenders have to get paid. I mean, sooner or later.
And there
So,
were programs that helped homeowners.
Yep.
So there was
There-
renter
yep.
assistance and landlord assistance.
Yep.
basically.
Yep, so, yeah, I mean, that's a valid question, absolutely. I don't know, I'm not. just
So
personally,
even
I'm not-
if.
Even if, yep. I mean, we've got one tenant right now that, that reached out for some help and got it. And needed a bit more and reached out and got it, so. I don't care how I pay my mortgage. At the end of the day, I don't care where it comes from.
Colin, we're talking about, of course, all these benefits of investing and that kind of stuff. There've got to be some cons too. What would you?
I mean, you're going to have time. You're going to put time into it. Nothing is 100% free. You have time going through the process, buying properties. It just takes time. Filling it, right? Showing the property. It's going to take time. The calls when something breaks, it's going to take time. But I look at it, my financial reward on the time I put in is so astronomical that I'll take calls from regarding issues and deal with that stuff all day long, every day. Big deal. It's the return is just astronomical.
And the leverage, there's rental property management companies that if in the beginning, you don't want to deal with a phone call about a toilet,
Yep,
pay
you can.
$110 a month for property management. But then there's also like, I know where I get my standard Minnesota leases. I know where I go to collect rental payments. I know where I go to advertise them. I mean, maybe
So-
that's what we talk about sometime.
Sure.
And
Yep.
educate yourself on the court system if you have to do an eviction. It's
For
not that
sure.
big of a deal. You can
It
have
sounds
somebody out in
scary.
23 days, you know,
And how
if
many
you have a
and how-
system.
And how many of us have had them for years that we've never had to do an eviction, and none of us had issues during COVID of being paid, you know,
Right.
rent, because we're so strict on the restrictions.
Yep.
And we've shared that document with, you know, we can
So-
share it again, but, you know,
I mean, other
It's a
risks,
system.
downfall, I
same
mean,
thing.
could there be a market crash? Sure, absolutely there could.
But if the market crashes, you would think that would leave a lot more vulnerable people who would have to rent. So, you know.
And,
And it will come back.
2008 was
Yeah.
awesome for finding
Oh, for
tenants.
sure, yeah.
and the way I look at it is, well, where am I gonna hide my money if the market crashes? If you don't get in the cash right quick at the right time, guess what? If real estate crashes, what do you think everything else is gonna do?
People still gotta have a place to live.
and those fears of all that kind of stuff is kind of like that, the movie clip, right? Like, you're letting other people's
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
come into play with what you want as your dream.
And downside, I guess the other downside is this is not an overnight game. It's long-term.
It's long-term. And
Yep, it's long-term. I don't know. I'm not sure what the get-rich-quick thing is. I don't know. I don't know.
that kind of blew up in the 2008.
I don't know. It seems to
With those
blow
people
up
with
every
nothing down, buy investment property with
every
nothing
once in a
down.
while. Yeah,
That went away.
it's long-term, so if you're not willing to dedicate to it, then maybe it's not right, I guess, I don't know. Is that a downside? I guess maybe it is, depending on where you're at. Olivia, I'm gonna just run real quick.
Yeah.
To that quote.
Are you gonna talk about the Hazel property when you come back? You want me to?
Sure, yeah, maybe,
Okay. Yeah,
depending
you
on how
will?
much time we have.
I just had one thing to share. Olivia. The only down thing that I've seen after 30 years of having rental property has been the exit strategy that you have. If you want to sell a piece of property, you've got to remember there is a huge tax thing of, if you don't roll, one is to roll capital gains, but the one that most people forget is the depreciation. If you don't own that property for 27 and a half years, so this is long-term, that you're going to have a huge, huge tax consequence. And my father-in-law's trust, who we were trying to just get rid of, I mean, half of the money that was made in the last 22 years on a piece of property is all gone back to the government.
I lived through
So-
that too.
It's a huge, you gotta really figure that out as to when you're looking at that. Now, you can roll over into, roll it into another property and do a 1031 exchange if they're gonna keep those. See, that's the thing, tax laws can change too. So when you look at a property, look at it for maintenance and everything, long-term, because that's
And
the,
whoever is in office plays a big difference, because like right now, capital gains tax, if you have to pay it, it's 20%. There's a proposal-
well, that depends on your income, because we're gonna be paying 35.
Well, there's a proposal that it automatically, the minimum is gonna be 40. That's the current administration, because everybody has different.
Right.
So that's the thing that you can't predict, is what tax laws might change it. But 1031s are not nearly as scary as people think.
Oh, gosh, no, they're easy to
All the
do.
way- I mean,
Yeah,
intermediary
we've done those.
Everything.
Yeah, they're slick. So, but yeah, that would be the only thing I would say with people that I've seen in 30 years, the downside of anything
Yeah.
is that you have to be prepared to pay some big taxes if you decide to sell early.
Hey, John, iPad online, is that you, John Hoffmeister? Maybe you took a call, I'll send you the document just in case. Cassandra, I sent you the document as well.
It's me online.
Okay, I just sent it to you. We're just gonna, one thing that Colin and I, over the weekend talked about just in terms of,
kind of recapping the year and what do we think went well in wealth building and just how do we make it better. We filled out these forms last year. Yes, and the year we launched it, and I didn't reference back to them very much. We kind of just left it a little bit open, like, what do you guys want to talk about today? And we want to be more prepared next time. Steve just texted me about a local commercial realtor who's not with our company that needs to be. We should bring her in to talk about commercial financing. So I'm gonna contact her and she could be a guest speaker in wealth building. So I just would love for you guys to fill this out quick. The other thing that so then I can do, tallies and figure out what are the hottest topics, and then we can get an agenda set for the next, say 6 months. And one thing that we know we also want to do a better job of is tracking how many properties we buy together, right? Like, or buy as a group, because I think there's power in, wow, if there's 20 of us in the room and 43 rental properties get purchased this year in this room, like, that's something that other KWPR agents can aspire to, now come. And so it's definitely not like a bragging thing, but I think like it helps us hold accountable to the goals. And there's a question on the back there, how many properties do you want to buy this year? And so I think then if we can just be talking more about our goal and how can we get to the goal, and like Steve said, wanting to talk more about commercial lending, and let's get all that lined up. But until we hear from you, so we can do what we did last year and the year before, and just quick shout them out. But I would still love for you guys to fill them out. So, oh yeah, that was my.
That was meeting.
That was pretty funny. John and I are funny. Oh, geez, okay, well, we should probably take stuff like this down. People's interviews that we do for MCA that didn't get the job. Probably shouldn't be on here. Okay, so what do we want to learn this year? What do we want to focus our time on? So Steve, you said, Duckworth, we got two Steve's names. So you said commercial lending, right?
Yeah, for
Okay.
multifamily housing.
Okay. What else?
Growing KW profit share.
Okay. Your teacher's pet now, or? Is she your teacher's pet for saying kid growing profit share?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I want to make $50,000 a year, like.
Yeah.
You know.
You can.
I know.
You can.
I
And you
need to
will
make
to
it a
your
priority.
daughters. Yeah.
And that's so true. And, okay, I can't do that. I got a 20-year head start on you.
Yes.
So you can be further along in 20 years than I am right now.
Well, when Gary says that the highest profit share earner is not even with our company yet, what's that tell you?
Right.
Opportunity. Okay, so growing profit share.
Maximize tax benefits.
Okay.
Liv, can I throw one more thing in?
Yeah, of course.
On that, if you're not in the Keller Williams Profit Share Mastermind Facebook group, get on it.
I would agree. Scotty and Amanda and I have a group text, and they sent me something from that group the other day, and it was, somebody asked about, was that the profit share group? Somebody asked about EXP.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just an awesome response from whatever his name is. I forget his name. I sometimes tune him out.
Aaron Kaufman.
Aaron Kaufman, yeah. Yes.
Sometimes tune him out.
Well, it's just like I had to unfollow him because he's just so obnoxious on social media, and so I don't see some of the things he posts, but like what he's responded about EXP
I saw that too.
is really, I should have tagged you in it, actually, remind me, and I'll show you the post. But yeah, get in that profit share group, I would agree. What else?
Did he switch companies?
No, sorry, yeah, let's be a little bit here. Somebody posted in the group and said, I've met with EXP twice now. I still don't get the hurrah of it, I still don't understand.
Your number one concern.
That's what Amanda said. Well, if you've met with them twice and you still don't get it, like, hello,
Probably
like
red
that's
flag right
probably,
there.
you should not go there. He commented, and do you wanna just pull up the text?
Oh, yeah.
And we can just read it. He just said, basically Aaron Kaufman commented and just said, EXP is in it for the short game of agent count, and KW is in it for the consumer experience or technology. I forget exactly what it says. Did you see it too, John? Yeah. So yeah, he didn't switch. Just some KW agent probably was posting and they're,
asked, I'm in conversation with a couple of EXP agents. Can anyone answer these 2 questions about their revenue share system? So he's going to KW to answer the question about EXP's revenue share system. If someone in their tree leaves the company, do the agents under the lever bump to the next agent, or do they bump up to the owners? And do agents continue to receive revenue share when they leave EXP or retire? So Aaron's comment was the conversation is not revenue share versus profit share. It's purpose and community, and which company is playing the infinite game. EXP is playing the agent game. We have already moved to the consumer game. We are the only customer-centric, agent-driven technology company building the preferred real estate platform for the dependent, independent, and interdependent agents to do business. EXP is obsessed with beating KW. We are obsessed with creating the best customer experience and protecting the role of a true real estate professional in an industry that is trying to turn them into a low-paid. It was good. I mean, it was just like crazy to me though, after trying to learn some more about that too, that they really do essentially lose everything if they go to a different brokerage or whatnot, and let me know that I'm in the right place. But it was just funny to me thinking that you go to a different company to ask about.
yeah, right, yeah.
One person
Yeah.
commented, I went to EXP, I made it 2 months, I'm back. And
Yeah.
people were like, well.
That's literally happening all over the country right now with KW people.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like a $50 million team out east that left and went to EXP and came back. There was a $100 million team in New York that was offered like $2 million cash to go to Compass and said no, because their 75-page contract is a joke and it's not 2 million in cash. It's like, there's just a bunch of garbage in there. It's the same thing. So, what's the number one reason why people join our company? Culture. Could be the top. What's training?
Training.
What's happening in this room next Thursday from 9 to 4:30?
Training.
Career vision.
Career visioning. You guys need to bring somebody with you, right? The gal we've talked about on and off for years needs to be in the room. Stay at Remax, wherever you stay there, but come learn how to build the right organization. John Hoffmeister, thank you for your referral. John Casper and I met with him, this guy, yesterday. He's a $10 million producer from Coldwell Banker, and I think we've got a good chance of getting him, but has no clue how to join a team. Has 2 buyer's agents, has 2 others that don't do any transactions, has no admin, and literally just has no leverage, but wants to grow from 10 million to 25 million.
So they've been accidentally successful, and then.
Exactly.
Really on.
And he's already told Coldwell he's leaving, but he's interviewing like 10 damn companies, and I'm like, you are going to give us one more shot. When you come up with the top 2 and we're one of the 2, we're gonna meet again and you're gonna tell me why you're not choosing us.
Last year I was at the other red company. I did 11 million, brought on a buyer's agent, didn't know what the hell I was doing, paid her way too much. You know who I'm talking about probably.
Yeah.
And I could have.
Was it Olivia?
Nope, if you haven't heard that story, Steve and I made it on a team for about 4 seconds.
I need story time.
It was a few months.
Okay.
Me and my daughter.
Well, you should see the picture I've got.
He doesn't remember that.
And you can't forget it.
I think I
Well, I'll post it sometime.
Yeah, you are.
But anyway, I had no guidance, no direction, nobody trying to teach me at the other company, and
You probably could have made an extra 150 grand if you would have done it right.
Yeah.
And people from other companies are in that same boat, so if you know anybody, even if they're an individual agent doing 6-8 million and you're not sure if they want to hire, bring them. It's free next week. You know, Market Center's covering the cost of just the guy's flight and hotel room, big deal, right? Like, get him in the room. It's just gonna challenge them to think different. So without sounding like, hey, do you want to join KW? No, this is hey, our company's offering a free class next week. Who cares what company you're at? Why don't you come and learn how to build a team? I challenge you to do that. I think that's the number one, that's the easiest way to bring somebody to this company is through training. Okay? What else do we want to talk about and learn and master, other than the one I'm about to write?
Can I say one?
Yes, of course we can.
Retirement
She's like, oh,
savings.
God. Retirement, yeah.
So smart to think about now.
Think how wealthy, seriously, we would all be at her age, we started getting
Oh
intentional.
my gosh, for
Coulda,
that
shoulda,
question.
Coulda,
Yeah, yeah. What else? Anything else? I mean, do we want to hit on again, like, obviously, well, we got the commercial lending, but do we want to talk about the, rental requirements? That one-page doc again? Okay.
I'd be curious to know too, like, you know, you're saying be picky with who you choose, and I mean, yeah, that's like Krista, I think said, I mean, that's a fine line. I mean, how do you go about being picky without, you know, if you just, you know, I don't know, how do you do that without it coming off?
If I could,
What if, yeah, go
if
ahead.
I could jump in on this, so, like I said, we just bought a property here in October. Took about a month to get it ready and started advertising it immediately through the different avenues out there. Using the sheet, you broadcast that with every application and people will read it and that they agree to it, great. If not, they'll move on. Yep.
It just weeds out the.
Okay.
It weeds out a lot.
Okay.
No
Yeah.
cats, no pets, I mean, whatever is important to you.
Yeah, no dogs.
Yep, I had.
And what if we took that and made it one whole day of like collectively putting together our best resources? So who do you use for the most inexpensive background check and who do you use for
Yeah,
this, that, and the
application.
other? And I think that was Krista's idea, you know, let's just put all of our resources together.
Well, yeah, especially like even contractors too, if you're not, you know, like if you're not doing a lot of it yourself, some people don't have.
You know what, maybe I'll.
Or you don't use it that often, you know.
Maybe I'll ask, yeah, I'll say it. Maybe I'll ask Brooke if she'll come and be, if I interview her, because she manages all 25 of our units.
Yeah.
And sells 40 houses a year and runs their household and you know, like puts herself first with workouts and eating, right? But I think if I had the questions, you know, she's just kind of quiet but I think I could get her to come. Because she's the one that like screens them all, she's the one that posts them on Zillow, she's the one that meets them at the property. And then after they close, Colin takes over and handles any issues, which are very rare.
And it is a lot simpler than I thought it was gonna be. I mean, I just filled a rental this past week and hate Zillow. They're so good for rentals. And there's
Yeah,
even
they
a
are.
button that says invite to apply and they apply it, they pay $29. I get literally a list of their employment, what their credit score is, what all their revolving debt is, and how much credit utilization they have. And then from there, you can kind of narrow down your top picks. And I'm not kidding, the number of people that applied for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath Farmington townhouse.
I do have
it's
a
high demand.
I mean, we bought 3 in the
I was
last 30
stressed.
days.
I
It's
do have in the middle of the night
unbelievable
going,
how many people
I-
want to live in a townhouse.
I do have one warning for everybody,
Nothing
though,
wrong with
that
them.
if you do those kind of applications and you get their social security number and that kind of thing, you better have your applications in a locked file, because if the Commerce Department comes in, they'll shut you down instantly if you don't have their stuff protected.
So these are the
That's
things that we can
that's a
talk
big
about
thing
at
to
that
look
master
at,
meeting.
yeah.
Tenant Check of Minnesota is who we use.
Turbo tenant is another good one.
Turbo Tenant. So we'll, I'll share all this with Colin and we'll get, maybe the next session, we'll get Brooke to come in and she can share all the things that we use, and then we'll just mastermind other just different things. What else? So if we accomplish all this, what's the one thing that we're missing?
Well, the best properties. I mean, I guess trying to like decipher what the best properties
The numbers
are.
Okay,
Numbers, yeah.
best buys?
And I think everybody's got different
Making a
ideas of
purchase.
what they want. You know, I used to always want to go for, you know, the homes that are going to appreciate the most and that kind of thing. And I'll tell you what, the ones I like the best are the 1-bedrooms that don't have kids and pets. There's no damage.
Well, the potential challenge with that right now is what you and I talked about in the hallway last week with the condos, right? I mean, there might be some issues with that right now, but I mean, the townhouses, we're gonna start doing mailings. We're gonna do more golden letters to townhouses
My
because
biggest
we have.
concern with the townhome, so just because I know we had purchased a townhome while we were building and had plans of keeping it. And then we ended up having to sell it because they cap their rental rate and
Oh,
you can
sure.
rent it.
Sure.
So like that, I mean, I get that you're in there and if you're renting it from the get-go, but they can always change
Yes.
their rules
Yeah.
too, so that's just as.
And there ain't nothing on the market, honey, so you'll
No,
be able to sell
If
it.
you're grandfathered in, I haven't yet had, because I'm in one like that, where they
Okay, so
changed the
they-
whole association, they had to grandfather in the people that
People
had
that were
rental
there,
property.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Oh.
Yeah, otherwise they would.
The taxes and best tactics when it comes time to sell the property, okay?
That's your exit strategy you're talking about.
So
Yeah, 'cause
those
if
of
you
you
get
online,
forced
if
to
you'll
sell,
fill
it
out
could
that
be-
document and email it to me, those of you in the room, just fill out in case there's additional info, we'll compile it all, put it on a spreadsheet, talk about it at next month. And then invite a friend to join you from KWPR to come to this, and then bring somebody to career visioning for those of you that are coming.
What's
Next
the
week.
one we missed?
I'm sorry?
What's the one we missed?
Oh, right here.
Oh, okay.
Jessica said, execution, just do it, accountability, right? Which is why, like, we wanna do a better job of, for those of you that write on there, there's no judgment if you don't say you wanna buy an investment property, but for those of you that say you wanna buy an investment property, we will help you do it. We got lots of free dinners coming up all the time.
You don't want
Um,
grocery shop, so that works.
that's right, yeah, that's right. Colin's like, I don't grocery shop. They all look at me and go, neither does Olivia. Yeah.
How do they get food in this place?
Well, I gained a lot of credibility talking to investors too. Like
Yeah.
to be able, or people who wanted to get into the investor market, to be able to say, oh, here's how I did it, and then you look like a true resource.
Well, and like when you have that conversation too with your clients, like, yeah, you know, I know you don't wanna do all this work and I can bring in some investors and I might be interested as well.
Yeah,
And
you
they're like,
kind of
"What?
create yourself as
You
an
do
eye
that?"
buyer, because
Yeah.
they're hearing about it.
Yep.
Okay, I'm supposed to be on a call at 1:30 that I forgot about with an agent in this office, so I better wrap up. Anything else to add to the list? Can you leave your forms? Colin will tell you about the Hastings property next time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's his fun. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, I believe it's 3331069.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you, thanks for coming, guys.
Okay, go again, sorry, 3.
3331069.
Okay, close enough.
It's on the lake.
Okay, it's on the way, good.
A quick breakdown, 2-bed, 1-bath, 150 feet of shore.
Okay.
50 feet deep, so it's a real recreational,
Okay.
freshwater house. Truck right next to it. Wall,
Growing.
Yeah, please do.
So Sarah Anderson, just texted, somebody selling about 75 houses a year, and they're checking their calendar, it says class next week sounds fun. So I'm just saying, do what Sarah did.
It's a two-trailer house.
Okay.
But it's attached to the ground.